met you, Derek. I feel like I know you
All
very
right,
well.
James.
And also to
I heard a lot about you and
Kathy.
about your and
I see so many people.
right.
I won't name them all.
You're looking quite thin these days, James. I hope that's because you're trying to.
I don't think I'm any different. It could just be the camera or something. Yeah.
Oh, you look great.
Are you saying I used to be fat? Is that what you're?
No, that's not what I'm saying. And the fattest guy in the room is definitely not going to say that to you. I promise.
Now, David, so you got to respect me and listen to me.
I respected you,
71.
but 30 years ago.
Mm.
So that's never changed, my friend. It's really good to see you.
I like the picture, David, behind you.
Oh, it's a little thing I made up. It's the Waco Survivors website with a promo from the series they did.
Right.
And then I did a little digital editing. I put the Mount Carmel dove symbol.
You're looking well, though.
Thanks. Getting there. So how many people do we have on the memorial today on the Zoom call?
Looks like 34.
Yeah.
As far as screens, but it's not, there could be more than one person.
Yeah, sure.
I just want to say hi from California. It's Wendy, Sheila's aunt. Sorry, I'm just waking up. It's like niece. I'm her niece. I'm just waking up. It's like 9:30 in the morning, but it's so good to see everyone. Is Sheila there?
I don't know.
Yeah, she's here.
She is. Excellent. Okay.
9:30 is pretty early for a filmmaker.
It is.
Yeah, it's 5:45 here in the UK.
Oh, yeah.
Would Sheila like to come up front and say hello so she can be in front of the camera? I think Sheila's coming.
Sheila mine.
Hey, look at her.
There she is.
Hey, Sheila.
There she is.
Hi.
Sheila.
I don't know where I'm supposed to
You're
look.
just right there.
Oh, okay. It's all of you so much. Hoping we'll all be together again in the same place.
Hi, Auntie.
Hi, how you doing? Oh,
Good.
how's everything? It's still strange to me. Yeah. Everyone asks me, "Don't you want this? Don't you want that?" I said, "I'm fine." But then I miss knowing how everything goes and being in touch with everyone and things like that. I don't think I'm going to say I'm going to get up because I know everyone's.
Well, Sheila, why don't you stay for a minute and all the Derek, Derek's here for the first time, and he says he doesn't recognize a lot of people. So, who are the survivors and the former members? So maybe those of you who are survivors and former.
I recognize Sheila and people like that, but
well, everybody else can tell you who they are. Okay.
I know I recognize Sheila and and Kathy and people like that.
Livingston called yesterday, so he's asking for everyone too, and thinks about everything that's going on over here and through the world, and he's relating it to all the scriptures and the studies we've had. So there are people who are still looking at all the things, holding on to all the things that we believed in, that why we were here in the first place, and the reason they came in the first place was because they didn't want what we had getting any further than this place and the ones that were here. We have that hope that we're going to see our family again. It's going to be a resurrection. People are going to go all over the world, and people all have a chance to hear the truth that we had a chance to hear. I'm going to go ahead and let somebody else come. Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks, Sheila.
Thanks, Sheila.
She's so shy.
I was going to say.
Yeah, she's a bit.
Sheila's she's out.
Quick.
She gave her message, though. So
she did.
Yeah.
She certainly did.
Yeah.
So, do any of the survivors and former members want to say some other things?
I said, "Hey, Tibbs, you want to speak up and say something?"
Well, I'm just very glad to be here. It's good to see everyone as always. These days, I try not to speak at all because it comes out all political. And just the outrage I have is what is happening everywhere in the world is Yeah, that's it. That's better if I say nothing. I think this is not about any of that today. It's about, what happened all those years ago and the people that aren't with us anymore.
I'll see him again, though.
I'm just happy that Kevin has taken it upon himself to take the brunt of
Yes,
this
thank you,
today.
Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin and Kathy Wessinger, of course, as always, for helping make this happen today. I'm glad to see so many people on the call too.
And where is Kevin?
Really glad you're here today, Derek. That's great.
Hey.
What'd you say, Wendy?
I said, where is Kevin? Is he at the chapel?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Kevin and Heather at the chapel today.
Okay.
On site, as they say.
There you are.
All right, I'm in.
You're in.
Sorry, I'm technology challenged.
So who would like to say something? Because we've got about 10 minutes, 12 minutes before calling the names. Anyone have anything to share?
Hello, everyone from Houston, Texas.
Good to see everyone.
I can take some time and thank Kathryn for helping me set up all of this, helping fund her and Phil Arnold and his foundation, purchasing all the equipment to make this happen, and the Pace family for allowing us to use the property in the chapel.
There's a bit of silence. It's Steve Wraith again from the UK. Just want to thank Kevin for sending me the link again. As most of you know who have been at the memorial online for the last few years, I've been a regular attender, somebody who has nothing to do with your group, but somebody who followed the story as a young man and basically connected with a lot of the people via Facebook when the group was set up. So I'm just here really to pay my respects and just to say that I'm thinking of you all from across the pond as usual.
I'll add that Matt Whitmer sends his best regards and his love to everyone. He really misses all of you. He wishes he could be here with you on Zoom. And he's delivering mail today, and so he couldn't get off work. And he also wanted to say that since he's become a mail carrier, he's feeling very close to David Jones, Heather and Kevin's dad, because that's the kind of work he's doing these days. Also, Matt in 2017 made the memorial slideshow that will be shown shortly, and with a lot of input from Clive at that time. And in recent years, a number of the survivors and former members have given additional information that's been included on the slides. So, but we want to thank Matt for creating this memorial slideshow to begin with, and we miss him.
For sure.
I have a random Jeff Little memory.
All right.
We used to talk about how much he laughed and joked and everything. So a long time ago, we were sitting in the car because I used to drive him all over the place because he didn't have a car and I was his chauffeur. And he said, "I got a joke for you." I said, "Okay." He goes, "One day a son sends his dad a message. 'Dear Dad, no mun, no fun, your son.' And the dad replies, 'Dear Dad, so sad, too bad, your dad.'" That's what I remember from Jeff Little today.
Starla's here, and she sent a poem, but I think I'll read the poem. I'll read Starla's poem after the names are called, okay? All right, but I'm glad you made it.
Just wanted to pop in and say hi from College Station, Texas. I'm sorry I won't be able to stay with you guys on the memorial for very long today because I had something else going on. But I just want to say hi and send my love to everybody. It's so good to see all of you, and I hope you're all doing well.
She hasn't done her hair, so she can't be on screen.
Actually, I was putting on makeup, Scott, but thank you for asking.
Good. Good to
I
see
knew
you.
you were doing something.
I was getting pretty. At my age, you have to put your face on first where you're presentable. It's good to see you, Scott.
Absolutely. You too. Absolutely.
I got to
Good to
run,
see
but I will see you
everybody.
guys. I know.
Yeah. It's nice to see Kevin actually being able to, make this happen with the help. Obviously, Kathryn, none of this would happen without you. But Kevin being there actually on site and whatnot helps. Obviously, a lot of us aren't local, so it's hard to be involved. But you guys make this happen. Without you guys, this would be so much more difficult. So thank you, thank Matt for everything he's done, obviously, and Kevin, you're doing a great job, bud. Let me know if you need any help. I'll do what I can from here.
I'm just sitting here.
Oh, we'll get another planned trip, another trip planned to come out there for sure.
My love today. I haven't been out there in probably 6 years now or something like that, but it's good to see everybody's faces. And I agree with Kathy. Scott, your beard is pretty awesome. It's looking good. Everybody looks really good. I don't understand how everyone can look exactly the same every year. So I don't know what you guys are doing, but especially Stuart. The last time I saw you was a long time ago, and you're looking the same. So whatever you're doing, keep it up.
It's AI.
Yeah, there you go.
Do we anticipate any time in the future that we might go back to an in-house meeting, a face-to-face meeting, or do we think that Zoom is going to be pretty much permanent from now on?
Well, there's an in-house meeting right now in the chapel, and it's just that I couldn't get there this year due to lack of funding, and but I mean, Kevin worked hard to arrange the chapel, so there is an in-house meeting going on right now.
Okay.
But the Zoom people, all of us, 42 of us now are included on Zoom.
Okay.
So we'll do it both in the future. That's what we've been doing. Since we got Zoom in 2020, it's been, I guess we could say, hybrid, in person and on Zoom simultaneously.
How many do we know are in the chapel?
I'm not really sure. I have my phone connected and it's facing everybody who's here, but I don't know how to make it show on the screen.
We can
It's
actually
under Katie
see it,
Jones.
Kevin.
We can see it. Under Katie Jones, we can see it.
Yeah,
It's
that's
about
the one.
15 or so.
Oh yeah, there it is. That's nice.
And whenever we can afford to get a trip out there, each year that we can afford to do so, we do try to make it out for the memorial.
A plan for this is the 33rd memorial, right?
Yes.
We definitely need to plan to be there for the 35th, obviously.
Yeah, agree.
For sure.
That's probably Scott and my goal.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think for us it's try to make plans just due to finances and trip costs and all that kind of stuff to try to do it on more relevant key dates. And for whatever reason, we humans like to make multiples of 5 important numbers. Yeah. So I think we were there for the 25th or the 30th or one of those ones, and we'll probably try to do it again for the 35th.
Okay, so Mary Peterson asks, would the in-chapel memorial be open to non-survivors in the future? Of course, it's open to everyone right now, anyone who wants to attend. Everybody was invited. Anybody in the area who's around Waco.
We are very inclusive, and that's what it's about, right?
Any year, any of us could be a non-survivor. So why not have everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was a terrible joke. I'm glad none of you got that.
Yeah. It was a bit terrible.
Just trying to relieve the tension.
It was a bit terrible.
I'd like to add, you guys know I've been working on my aunt's documentary, and it is happening, and you guys are all going to be a part of it, hopefully. and we will have funding to fly everyone over the summer. But the one person I have been in touch with is Annetta. And I know a lot of you guys might not be aware that she's even still with us, but she is. And Annetta's in Jamaica, Richards, and she turned 95. She'll be 96 in November. So I'm trying to see if she can jump on the Zoom today and say hi to everyone. So I'm going to leave my email in the chat. We surprised her with technology. Don't feel bad, everyone. I'm trying to get my aunt up to speed with all of the things and provide some technology. But I was able to get Sheila on with Annetta to wish her a happy birthday, and it was just lovely that Annetta still remembers, and she just is still full of wit and just great. So I'm glad that I've, over the 30 years, have been friends with all of you, or, well, a lot of you, David Thibodeau, and you guys have been to my home in California. So I look forward to seeing everybody. And Catherine Wessinger has been amazing. All of the scholars, we're just excited to tell the truth and, let the world still know that's continuing about the victims and what the Branch Davidians stood for. So thank you.
It's about 12:10. It's about that time. Kevin, you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to share screen.
I'm ready. Winston Blake. He was British, age 28. Died February 28th, 1993. Engaged to Beverly Elliott, who was killed on April 19th. Shot from a helicopter, fired into his room, buried during the siege in the storm shelter. He was called the Gentle Giant by his friends. He was Derek Lovelock's roommate. Peter Gent, Australian, age 24, died February 28, 1993. Shot on top of the water tower, likely from a helicopter. Twin sister Nicole was killed on April 19th, buried across the front driveway during the siege. Peter Hipsman, American, age 28, died February 28, 1993. He was from Hawaii. He was shot above the gym on the dog run, buried during the siege in the storm shelter. Perry Dale Jones, American, age 64, died February 28, 1993. Of course, everybody knows that was my grandpa. He was shot near the front door during the first few moments of the interaction with the ATF when David was talking to them at the front door and they started shooting at him. They shot my grandpa in the stomach. He was the father of Rachel, Hal, Koresh, David Jones, and Michelle Jones, who were killed on April 19th. He was buried during the siege in the storm shelter, later buried in Waco, Texas. Michael Schroeder, American, age 29, died February 28, 1993. I always thought he was so cool. running around in his leather jackets and his motorcycle. He was from Florida, killed returning to Mount Carmel, shot by the ATF agents for no reason. Father of one son and 3 stepchildren. Wife was Kathy Schroeder, who left Mount Carmel during the siege. Jadine Wendell, American, age 34, died February 28, 1993. She was from Hawaii. She was the wife of Mark Wendell, mother of 4 children sent out during the siege, shot in her 2nd floor bedroom. I believe she was asleep in bed when she died. Buried during the siege in the storm shelter, and ultimately reburied in Honolulu. Conway LeBleu, American ATF agent, age 30, died February 28, 1993. Todd McKeehan, American ATF agent, age 28, died February 28, 93. Robert Williams, American ATF agent, age 26, died February 28, 1993. Steve Willis, American ATF agent, age 32, died February 28, 1993. Kathy Andrade, American, age 24, died April 19, 1993. She was Argentinian background. Her baby Chanel and sister Jennifer was also killed on April 19th. Chanel Andrade, American, died April 19th, 1993. Mother was Kathy Andrade, who was also killed April 19th. Jennifer Andrade, American, age 19, died April 19th, 1993. Sister Kathy was killed on April 19th. Once brought a suitcase full of Disney movies to Mount Carmel. Ulrich George Bennett, British, age 35, died April 19th, 1993. He supervised some of the construction at Mount Carmel, including the gym and swimming pool. Everybody called him Rick. He came to Texas to meet David Koresh with about 10 people from Britain, including Derek Lovelock. Susan Benta, British, age 31, died April 19th, 1993. She was Jamaican descent. Mary Jean Borst, American, age 49, died April 19th, 1993. Heard David speak in Northern California with Trudy Mayer and Ophelia Santoyo joined David's group in the Palestine, Texas area. Her son was Brad. Her son Brad later became a policeman in Colorado. Pablo Cohen, he was Israeli, age 28, died April 19, 1993. Was born in Argentina. His family cherished music and intellectual pursuits. He immersed himself in music from age 9, met David in the Old City in Jerusalem in 1990. He was the Hebrew translator in the Bible studies. Abadawalo Davies, British, age 30, died April 19, 1993. He was from Nigeria, called Dabo. He was a quiet man and a deep thinker. Sherry E. Doyle, American, age 18, died April 19, 1993. Clive Doyle's youngest daughter. She spent much of the siege in the chapel with Clive and Marjorie Thomas. Beverly Elliott, British, age 30, died April 19, 1993. She was engaged to Winston Blake, who was killed on February 28. Doris Fagan, British, age 60, died April 19, 1993. Her son was Livingston, was last one negotiated out of the residence during the siege. Yvette Fagan, British, age 32, died April 19, 1993. Mother of 2 children sent out during the siege. Mother-in-law Doris was killed on April 19th. Husband Livingston was last one negotiated out. Lisa Marie Ferris, American, age 24. Boy, I always remember that hair though. Died April 19, 1993. Met David in a music store in California. Raymond Friesen, Canadian, age 76. Died April 19, 1993. He was a previous Mennonite married to Tilly Friesen. Both became Branch Davidians. Raymond was one of several people who came in the chapel area on April 19th when the fire started. Sandra Hardial, British, age 27, died April 19, 1993. She was of Jamaican descent. Zilla Henry, British, age 55, died April 19, 1993. Came with her 5 young adult children to Mount Carmel in 1992. All were killed on April 19th. Her husband, Sam Henry, attempted to persuade his family members to return to Manchester. He died in 2023 at the age of 83. Diana Henry, British, age 28, died April 19, 1993. Mother of Zilla Henry, and Diana's 4 siblings were killed on April 19th. Stephen Henry, British, age 26, died April 19, 1993. His mother was Zilla Henry, and Stephen's 4 siblings were killed. He was polite and well-mannered. Paulina Henry, British, age 24, died April 19, 1993. Mother Zilla Henry and Paulina's 4 siblings were killed on April 19th. She believed strongly in her religious convictions. Phillip Henry, British, age 22, died April 19th, 1993. Mother Zilla Henry and Phillip's 4 siblings were killed on April 19th. Polite and well-mannered young man. Vanessa Henry, British, age 19, died April 19th, 1993. Mother Zilla Henry and Vanessa's 4 siblings were killed on April 19th. She was the youngest Henry child. She also had a smile. She always had a smile on her face. Novelette Sinclair Hibsman, Canadian, age 36, died April 19th, 1993. She was from Montreal and spoke French. Met Clive Doyle in 1981 in Canada. She studied with Lois Roden. She was close friend with and worked cleaning jobs with Bonnie Haldeman, David Koresh's mother. Floyd Houtman, American, age 61, died April 19th, 1993. He came from New Bedford. What does that say?
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, with 2 busloads of people. He was friends with Stan Sylvia. He was in the chapel on April 19th. Sherry Jewell, American, age 43, died April 19th, 1993. She was from Hawaii. She loved surfing and running. She taught kindergarten through 12th or K-12. Was dean of a business college. She sang, taught Sabbath school for youth at Diamond Head SDA Church. Her daughter Carrie went to live with her father in Michigan in 1992. David Michael Jones, American, age 38, died April 19th, 1993. He was the eldest son of Perry and Mary Bell Jones. Perry was killed on February 28th. What? Yeah. My dad was a mailman who learned of the impending raid on February 28th. His sisters Rachel and Michelle and their 6 children were also killed on April 19th. He is a wonderful father to Mark, Kevin, and Heather, who were all negotiated out. Michelle Jones, American, age 18, died April 19th, 1993. She was the daughter of Perry Jones, who was killed on February 28th. Her mother, Mary Bell, was not at Mount Carmel during the siege. Sister Rachel Howe Koresh and David Jones, who died on April 19th. Michelle's 3 children also died. Serenity C. Jones, American, age 4, died April 19th, 1993. Died with her mother, Michelle Jones, on April 19th. Chica Jones, American, age 22 months, died April 19th, 1993. Died with her mother, Michelle Jones, on April 19th. She was the twin of Little One Jones. Little One Jones, American, age 22 months, died April 19th, 1993. She died with her mother, Michelle Jones, on April 19th, twin of Chica Jones. David Koresh, American, age 33, died April 19th, 1993. His original name was Vernon Howe. He visited Mount Carmel in 1981 to study under Lois Roden. He later became the leader of the Branch Davidians from 1984 to 1993. He was a musician, a mechanic, a carpenter, and taught the 7 seals. Rachel Howe Koresh, American, age 24, died April 19th, 1993. She was the daughter of Perry and Mary Bell Jones, legal wife of David Koresh, sister of David and Michelle Jones, who were also killed on April 19th. Rachel's 3 children were also died on April 19th. Cyrus Howell, American, age 8, died April 19th, 1993. He was the oldest child of David Koresh. Mother Rachel Howell Koresh and his 2 younger sisters were killed on April 19th. Star Howell, American, age 6, died April 19th, 1993. Her mother, Rachel Koresh, and her brother and sister were killed on April 19th. Bobby Lane Koresh, American, age 2, died April 19th, 1993. Mother Rachel Howell Koresh and her brother and sister were also killed on April 19th. Jeffrey Little, American, age 32, died April 19th, 1993. He was from Michigan. He was Paul Fatta's roommate in Hawaii, a computer expert, lived with Greg Summers in Hawaii, was almost shot on February 28th. He always had a smile on his face. Nicole Gent Little, Australian, aged 24, died April 19th, 1993. Her twin brother, Peter Gent, was killed on February 28th. She was married to Jeff Little, who was killed on April 19th. Mother of Dalen and Pages, who died on April 19th. Nicole's unborn baby also died on April 19th. Dalen Gent, American, age 3, died April 19th, 1993. Died with his mother, Nicole Gent Little, on April 19th. Dalen's 2 siblings were also killed on April 19th. Pages Gent, American, age 1, died April 19th, 1993. Died with mother, Nicole Gent Little, on April 19th. Page's 2 siblings were also killed on April 19th. Unborn baby Gent, American, died April 19th, 1993. Mother was Nicole. The baby's 2 siblings were also killed on April 19th. Livingston Malcolm, British, age 26, died April 19th. Cousin to musician Bob Marley, one of the 10 people who died in the chapel on April 19th. He had a mild-mannered personality and never complained. Diane Martin, British, age 41, died April 19th, 1993. Had traveled to Texas several times to study with David. Douglas Wayne Martin, American, age 42, died April 19th, 1993. He was married to Sheila Martin, who left during the siege. He had 7 children. 4 were killed on April 19th. He called 911 during the ATF raid. He was Harvard-educated attorney and law school librarian. He had a law practice in Waco. Wayne Joseph Martin, American, age 20, died April 19th, 1993. He was the son of Douglas Wayne and Sheila. 3 siblings and father were killed on April 19th. He loved to read. He was reading the Bible out loud by the age of 5. He got excellent grades in school. Anita Marie Martin, American, age 18, died April 19th. Eldest daughter of Douglas Wayne and Sheila. 3 siblings and father were killed on April 19th. She was best friends with Sherry Doyle. She got excellent grades in school. Sheila Renee Martin, American, age 15, daughter of Douglas Wayne and Sheila. She was called Sheila Jr. 3 siblings and her father were killed on April 19th. She liked to sing and cook. Lisa Marie Martin, American, age 13, died April 19th, 1993. Daughter of Douglas Wayne and Sheila. 3 siblings and father were killed on April 19th. In school, she was impressed with a presentation by the KWTX TV weatherman, Rusty Garrett. Her mother wrote a letter to him letting him know. He subsequently mentioned Lisa in remarks on television. John Mark McBean, British, age 27, died April 19th, 1993. His mother and sisters knew most of the British people at Mount Carmel. Very studious about the Bible. He gave Bible studies in Manchester. His sister Janet McBean was in California with a few other Branch Davidians in 1993. Bernadette Monbelli, British, age 31, died April 19th, 1993. She was friends with John Mark McBean's family. Rosemary Morrison, British, age 29, died April 19th, 1993. She was from Manchester, England. She worshiped at the old Trafford Seventh-day Adventist Church in Manchester. Mother of Melissa, who was also killed on April 19th. She's buried in Waco. Melissa Morrison, British, age 6, died April 19th, 1993. She died with her mother Rosemary on April 19th and buried in Waco. Sonia Murray, British, age 29, died April 19th, 1993. Teresa Nobrega, British, age 48, died April 19th. She was Portuguese descent. Daughter Natalie was negotiated out during the siege. Teresa's husband kept in touch with Clive. James Riddle, American, age 32, died April 19th, 1993. He was from North Carolina. He's good friends with Clive Doyle and Bonnie Haldeman. Sister Rita Riddle came out during the siege. Niece Misty Ferguson was badly burned in the fire but survived. Juliet Santoyo, American, age 30, died April 19th, 1993. She was of Mexican descent. She was the daughter of Ophelia Santoyo, who exited during the siege. Her 5 children also died on April 19th. Audrey Martinez, American, age 13. Died April 19th, 1993. Mother was Juliet Santoyo, who was also killed on April 19th. 4 siblings were also killed on April 19th. Abigail Martinez, American, aged 11, died April 19th, 1993. Mother was Juliet Santoyo, who was killed on April 19th, with 4 siblings were also killed on April 19th. Joseph Martinez, American, age 8, died April 19th, 1993. Mother was Juliet Santoyo, who was killed on April 19th. 4 siblings were also killed on April 19th. He was friends with Cyrus Howe, Daniel Martin, and myself. Isaiah Barrios, American, age 4, died April 19th, 1993. His mother was Juliet Santoyo, who was also killed on April 19th. 4 siblings were also killed on April 19th. Crystal Barrios, American, age 3, died April 19th, 1993. Mother was Juliet Santoyo, who was killed on April 19th. 4 siblings were also killed on April 19th. She was friends with Kimberly Martin, a survivor. How do you say that name?
Sapea, I think. Rebecca Sapea.
Rebecca Sapea, New Zealand, age 24, died April 19th, 1993. She was of Samoan descent. Sisters Grace and
Hoya
lived with David's group in the Palestine, Texas period. Steve Schneider, American, age 43, died April 19th, 1993. He was from Wisconsin, met David Koresh in Hawaii, member of Diamond Head Seventh-day Adventist Church, a religious study major at University of Hawaii, joined David's group during the Palestine period, negotiated with agents during the siege. Judith Schneider, American, age 41, died April 19th, 1993. She was wounded on February 28th when she was shot in her finger, possibly elsewhere. She was the wife of Steve and mother of Mina. Both died on April 19th. Mina Schneider, American, age 2, died April 19th, 1993. She died with her mother, Judith Schneider, on April 19th. Clifford Sellers, British, age 33, died April 19th, 1993. He was a talented artist who painted artwork on David's guitars and motorcycles. He was born in Hong Kong. His father was in the military. Drew new religious charts during the siege. He painted the messages on the sheets during the siege as well. Scott Sonobe, American, age 35, died April 19th, 1993. He was a Japanese American, worked for a company in Hawaii that transported disabled people. His father once came to Waco to thank David Koresh. He was married to Floricida, father to Crystal and Angelica, who were sent out. Floricida Sonobe, American, age 34. She died April 19th, 1993. She was a Filipino American, married to Scott, who was also killed April 19th. Mother to Crystal and Angelica, who were the first children to be sent out after the raid. Gregory A. Summers, American, age 28, died April 19th, 1993. He was from New York and married to Aisha Gaiarfas. He worked with Judy Snyder, friends with Peter Hipsman. Peter and Greg had a comedy routine they performed. Aisha Gaiarfas Summers, Australian, age 17, died April 19th, 1993. She was of Hungarian descent. She came to Texas with her brother Oliver, who exited during the siege. Mother of Startle and an unborn baby who died on April 19th. Startle Summers, American, age 1, died April 19th, 1993. She died with her mother, Aisha, on April 19th. Unborn baby Summers, American, died April 19th, 1993. She died with her mother, Aisha Gaiarfas. Lorraine Sylvia, American, age 40, died April 19th, 1993. She was born in England from New Bedford, Massachusetts. Called Larry, good friends with Sheila Martin, married to Stan Sylvia. Son Joshua was sent out during the siege. Lorraine died with her 2 daughters, Rachel and Hollywood. Rachel Sylvia, American, age 12, died April 19th, 1993. Died with her mother, Lorraine Sylvia, on April 19th. Hollywood Sylvia, American, aged 1, died April 19th, 1993. Died with her mother, Lorraine Sylvia, on April 19th. Margarita Vega, American, age 47, 1993. She was born in Hong Kong and came to Texas from Hawaii. She owned a bakery in Hawaii, married to Neil Vega, who died on April 19th. She sent her daughter Joanne out during the siege. She is buried in Greater Vancouver, British Columbia in Canada. Neil Vega, American, age 38, died April 19th, 1993. Samoan descent, born in America when parents were traveling, played guitar in David Koresh's band, buried in Auckland, New Zealand. Mark Wendell, American, age 40, died April 19th, 1993. Worked for several school districts in California, head deacon at Diamond Head Seventh-day Adventist Church. Married to Jay Dean, who was killed on February 28th. Father of 4 children who were sent out during the siege.
Actually, while I'm still sharing screen, I'm going to show you this other image. Starla asked that we display this image. And these are the last word, Clive Doyle's last words, as reported to us by Ron Goines.
A little bit of Clive is here with us today.
Okay, what do you have there?
It's a little urn.
So again, I think maybe survivors and former members might want to respond first, and then everybody else.
I just want to say I was struck by how many of the babies there as we read their names, that I was there when they were born. And I sometimes forget, because I was going to be a midwife for the group. That's why I became a nurse. I did not become a nurse midwife, but I am a nurse today because he told me to go to nursing school. But because of that, I was there for the birth of many of these children, of these babies. So I have fond memories of that.
Any other survivors or former members want to say something? Any remembrances? Or anybody else? Who else would like to comment?
I'll say that we did note in a few of the members there in their little profile that there was always a smile on their face. And that made me think about how that's one of the ways that I remember the vast majority of the people there. Take Floyd, for example. He was just in aura of joy whenever you entered around the spheres of these people. I remember the presence of seeing him coming in your direction, and just this is going to be great. It just made you feel good. And so many of the people there were like that just radiated joy. I don't know what better way to explain it, but I would say that's one of the main things that I remember about most of the people there. Everyone was always so happy. It was a nice thing to see. Something we need more of these days.
Yeah, I wanted to tell you a story that Phil Arnold knows, but I didn't put it in any book, and I don't know if I've given it in any interview, so some of you might have heard it from me personally, but I think it's interesting. After the fire 33 years ago today, I often go to Israel. I've been there 78 times since 1990. And I saw it as a place to get away. So I just booked a ticket. I'd never done this before. No agenda, other than I did want to see Pablo Cohen's mother if I could, But so I flew to Israel. Nobody, wasn't met by anybody. Landed on Friday night in Tel Aviv, Ben Gurion. Drove right to Jerusalem, rented a car. And so I went to the old city down by the wall and around where David and Rachel had lived. And I ran into, some of you might remember, Rabbi David Aaron. He has red hair. He's on CNN a lot. He's kind of well known. And he said, "Oh, James Tabor." Yeah, I'd known him before. You were involved in that Waco thing, right? Because it had, gone over there too. And I said, "Yeah, but I came to get away from that, Rabbi." And he said, "Well, could come to our place tonight for Shabbat, Friday night, and talk to the students. And you don't have to talk about Waco. Just come and tell them about your scholarship, archaeology, things you do. We love to have you. We didn't know you were going to come. We would have prepared." So he gave me the address. Actually, I think we were standing in front of the address, and he said, we're right up here. So I arrived that night. I went to my hotel and got ready for the Sabbath. And I went upstairs, sat down. There were about 20 of his students gathered around the table. And he said, and he sat me in the guest chair at the end of the table, had a captain's chair, kind of like the main seat. He said, "Before you start, Dr. Tabor, I want to tell you that I met David Koresh when he and Rachel lived here in Israel. And I said, "Oh, really? I came to get away from Waco, but I'd like to hear that. How did you meet him?" He said, "Well, as I was renting this place that we're in right now, David and Rachel, pregnant with Cyrus, were coming down the stairs carrying things in boxes, and I was helping them clear out, and then I was bringing my things in." And I said, "So you're saying David rented this apartment we're in?" And he says, "Yes." So you could imagine the emotion. And then I said, this is the historian in me, "Was it furnished or unfurnished?" Because I wanted to know, furniture. I met a table. He said, "Oh no, it's furnished. And this is the furniture that was here when we left." I could hardly breathe. And then I said, "So I'm sitting in David's chair, right?" He said, "Well, I assume, that's the main chair at the table." And I just said, "Excuse me." And I went over to the kitchen and drew a glass of water from the sink. And I think women have seen men do this, but I bet every one of you men have done this. You go get water at the sink, back when you could drink water, out of the tap. And you kind of lean over and look out the window. A lot of kitchens have windows. I don't know what it is. You just stand there and kind of look out the window. And I thought, how many times did David stand at the sink and drink water? It was a strange thing. And then I sat back and I said, "Well, I didn't plan to talk about Waco, but I want to talk about some precious people that should be alive right now." And I believe it was the next year, I went back to do work in Thibodeau, Tibbs. I said, "Why don't you come with me?" Because he was suffering a lot, as all of you were, just trying to get his head. He said, "Come to Israel. We'll go to Masada. We'll go different places." And so he flew over, and we had lots of things going on that visit. But I did get to talk to Pablo's mother on the phone, and she had heard a little bit of my name, but and then I went and talked to the rabbis at Eish HaTorah where David studied. They remembered him as well. And I tried to imagine this Texas kid coming with the King James Bible all marked up. One of the rabbis, maybe Isaiah 40 through 66 or something like that. And it just doesn't work at a yeshiva because they're studying the Talmud and the Jewish traditions. And it was just a kind of a feeling that I got. But they did remember him. They said, "Oh, yeah, that young guy, he really had his Bible memorized." So I wanted to share that story with you. In that same year, of course, Phil and I presented at the American Academy of Religion Society of Biblical Literature David's manuscript. And we had promised him, if you write it, we will present it to the scholars. And Phil found the tape of that. Ramsey Clark, the Attorney General under Kennedy, was there. And he's going to have it digitized, and then we'll share it on your channel where everybody can see it. Anyway, I wanted to share that with you. And I love this group. In 33 years, for some people it fades, but for us who went through it, and especially all of you who were there, it's like yesterday, of course. So, Kathy, thanks for all you do, and Stuart and Phil, and so many of you, David. I'm not going to start naming people, but everybody.
I just want to thank James that I think it is very, very important to acknowledge everyone, all the work that you've all done. James wrote a book. Stuart has written several just amazing writings on First Amendment and just so much about the rights that every American is supposed to share under the Constitution. And some of the things went wrong, critical thinking about, Waco and some of the details. And there's so many volumes of information about Waco. It kind of all gets lost, right? For me anyway, it's like I don't have enough computing space up here to be able to keep everything in all the time. So, every year doing this and just at least seeing the people, hearing their names and thinking about them it's such an important thing. And I just want to really thank Kevin for stepping up this year and kind of taking over. I have so much work going on. I didn't really have time. Kevin, thank you so much. You did such a great job. Everyone of Catherine Wessinger, of course, for all that you do. And thanks each and every one of you for being here, being on the call, and remembering these people with us. It's we really, really do appreciate your presence in our lives. Thank you so much.
Well, it's our privilege, and Phil Arnold was thanked at the beginning of the memorial. I just want, for people who came in later, I just want to mention again that, of course, Phil drove from Houston to Waco to try to, as soon as the siege started, and tried to communicate with the FBI agents. And then he got with James, and they tried to educate the FBI agents who were probably deliberately not listening. But Phil Arnold and his Reunion Institute provided the funding for the very great equipment that Kevin is using today. This wonderful Zoom signal and very clear images. So thank you, Phil. Do you want to say anything, Phil?
Sure. Yes, hearing Jim tell the story of his trip to Israel, that has a miraculous quality to it, and it brings to my mind several things that happened during this 51 days that now that I look back on, I see as if there were a providential hand working, giving the country, giving individuals an opportunity to make the right choices. I recall several things. I'll just mention them to you. First, I actually went through a lot of files and boxes going back many, many years, way before 1993. I remember I was a young student and I was researching various groups in America that really appreciated the Torah and the Hebrew Bible, but yet they were still in the Christian tradition. And I was, in those days, writing them letters. There was no email. And I remember I actually found in this box, going back to the 70s, a letter from Benjamin Roden. That would be what? Lois Roden's husband. And what was the group called at that time? Kathryn, you probably know exactly.
Ben Roden, he founded the Branch Davidians, the General Association of Branch Davidians, Seventh-day Adventists. So that was the beginning of this. And when he purchased the property, he put it in the name of the General Association of the Branch Davidians, Seventh-day Adventists. So even though the name changed under different prophets, because the name Branch Davidian was on the property, it kind of stuck as far as the news media was concerned. Yeah.
So I looked and there was a letter, a short little note from him explaining what his beliefs were, because I had written about 50 different groups. And I was so shocked when I pulled that letter out in recent years. But it went way back. And of course, I knew nothing about David Koresh or the Students of the Seven Seals in 1993. I had forgotten that I had actually contacted the Rodens way back. And so that was kind of touched me that I had already been in contact. And another thing that happened was when this first happened, yes, I drove to Waco. My whole intention was to do my very best to save lives, because I realized that law enforcement would not understand a group that took the Bible seriously. And I thought perhaps I could provide the FBI some information about the Branch Davidians and about Bible prophecy, that they would not push the wrong button to cause the group to interpret things in a way that could be disastrous. They were not interested. I've told that story before, how several of the FBI agents had no interest in what I had to say. And so eventually I gave up on that idea. But so the first 4 or 5 days of my trying my very best, making 2 or 3 trips to Waco to penetrate the FBI, to get them to listen. And I could not do it. And then I got some, I guess people heard me on the media being interviewed, and my institution there in Houston, Reunion Institute, began to get threats on my, in those days, answering machines. And I remember there were some death threats, and the pressure began to mount that first 10 days. And like Jonah, in the book of Jonah, I began to worry, to feel vulnerable. And I didn't really know David Koresh. I didn't know the Branch Davidians. I just knew that there were 2 trains heading down the same track that could collide, the federal authorities and the local religious group. But I did not really know the details. So the pressure began to mount. And one night I thought, I've got to, I mean, I was getting called from my parents, from my friends, all this pressure. And I began to feel vulnerable. And like Jonah, I thought I would just maybe get away from it, just get away from it. And so I sort of psychologically walked away. Of course, I checked under my car to see if there was any bombs, anyone running around with guns, with all these death threats happening. So I pulled away. And I remember that night, I felt relieved that I was now like Jonah. I was going to go out to sea. I was going to get away. So as I went away, I went back to my library, and I thought, I'm just going to read a book on maybe sports or baseball. And I pulled this book down, and I opened it up, and it happened to be about a group that used to play baseball and basketball around the United States with long beards. So I thought, that's entertaining. So I read it. And in that book, I opened it up, and it discussed a group that used a lot of the prophecies that were happening in Waco. And they actually had a group that they used the name of Cyrus in Isaiah 40:45 and Koresh. And when I saw that, I thought, oh, I can't get away. I'm pulled right back into it. So I immediately closed that book and got right back into it. So that was another time I felt the providential hand of God guiding me back into this. My third example I want to tell you is at getting back into it after about 2 or 3 weeks, it became apparent I could not get the FBI to listen. There was nothing more I could do. And I talked to James Tabor, Dr. Tabor, and we decided to go on the radio through the Dallas radio station that David Koresh would listen to. And so we thought perhaps we could get a message to David that there were people very interested in what he had to say. And perhaps if he felt it was God's will, he could surrender, they could exit, and we could talk about the 7 seals. And we were willing to do that. So Dr. Tabor and I, we did go on that radio program. And so, but whether it was helping, we did not know. And that was all we could do. And I remember that night, I called Jim. It must have been Jim, 1 a.m. Because you were Eastern Standard Time, so it could be 2 a.m. But I call him and I give him a report. There's nothing more we can do. We've done everything we can. And we've got a tip from Cable News Network that the FBI is going to, quote, go in on the Branch Davidians.
Yeah.
Go in on. So we had run out of time. And Jim said, well, I wish you could talk to the attorney who is going in to talk to David and Steve and the members. If you could just talk to him, Phil. I said, how do I find him tomorrow? I mean, I don't know how to find him.
You said to me, Phil, you said
please.
Every reporter in Waco, and there were hundreds, the hotel was full. This main hotel there, the one of them, Hilton or whatever it was.
Yeah, the Hilton.
So you said, well, there's no way to find him.
Yeah.
You know, he's somewhere and we know he's been going in, but they had announced on CNN he'd made his last visit. So we thought he could have even left.
Yeah.
And then I'll let Phil tell his story, but it was that dramatic, like, well, fat chance of finding him, you know, like you would find Dick DeGuerin when the whole world would want to say, oh, you were in and what's happening. So, and he wasn't getting any interviews.
So this was the day of the pay phones. We're not on cell phone, it's pay phone. I'm standing in the lobby of the Hilton on that pay phone. There were two pay phones side by side. So I hang up from Jim, I hang up, and as I'm hanging up, there's a woman next to me who's talking on the phone. So I'm trying to talk to Jim and she's talking to somebody. And as I'm hanging up, she drops her purse, her wallet, and all her credit cards fall out on the floor by my feet. I hang up the phone. I pick up the credit cards because she's on the phone. I hand them to her. Oh, you dropped this. She said, yes, thank you very much. She said, I heard you talking about the Waco issue. Is that right? I said, yes. I study these things and I'm up here. And she said, well, my husband is Dick DeGuerin. He would surely like to meet you.
What are the chances?
And I said, really? I said, I'm available. She said, he's awake right now. It's 1 a.m. and he wants you to, she called him. He wants you to come up to the room. So we all went up there and I sat there for 2 hours to the wee hours talking to Dick DeGuerin, preparing him to take a tape of what Jim and I had done on the radio for his last visit into Mount Carmel. So I guess I'm telling you these stories to say that there seemed to be some type of providential hand working on many of us, and opportunities were given where right decisions could have been made. And to me, I'll never forget all those times in my life where when I was weak and I was tired, something boosted me, gave me strength, and then these opportunities developed. And God be with you all. And I love all of you.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you so much, Phil.
That's a great story, Phil. And it's true. And I think what you said about, you know, we make our plans, but then other people also make their choices.
Yeah.
And I will say this, Phil and I have been interviewed at almost every Waco documentary, special, whatever. Just about all of them, one or the other, or sometimes both. And we've always told that story. Just like Phil told it, you know, abbreviated version. And I can't think of any documentary that included it, because part of it then is Thibodeau picks up and says, yeah, David put the tape in a little recorder in the kitchen and everybody gathered around and we listened. And then on the 14th after Passover and the days of unleavened bread, he sent out the note and said, I'm going to write. And that we had suggested, not like we're not claiming we were so great to think of it, but we said, you know, Paul wrote some of his great letters in prison.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have it's like I'm talking to Phil. You can hear the tape if you want. We have it. I mean, it's in all of these archives. So, you know, David has a message, but nobody knows any of his message. Every night on TV, they're going, day 48, day 40, you know, day whatever of the Waco tragedy. FBI says this is it. And then Rick's is doing those press conferences every day, you know, about the punk with the Bible and all that stuff. On the 14th, that letter came out, and he mentions us by name. And he said, I'm going to write this. So then the whole thing came, is he writing it? Is he writing it? That was the 14th. This is the 19th. So do the math. We're just talking about the weekend. And of course, he finished that first seal, as we all know now. So it's just, I did meet Janet Reno later, and she had read our books and different things. And I will say this in her behalf. At a private meeting, she gave a lecture at UNC Charlotte, and afterwards the provost said, would you like to see General Reno? She's, knows about your work. Because I was pretty well known in Charlotte for the things we did. And I said, yes, I would. And she said, James or Dr. Tabor, believe me, that weekend when we decided, I had reversed myself twice. And I kept saying, is there any argument for waiting? And she said, I never was given the letter of the 14th. Now, can you believe that? She wasn't given the letter. What she was told was, if you keep waiting, he abuses children all the time, and there's just going to be more child abuse. So I'm telling you.
Yeah, excuse me. Go ahead. Finish, James.
No, that's it. That's the Reno story. Doesn't mean everything she did was right. It just means the story Phil just told was a potential solution. And then DeGuerin backed it up legally. And David signed papers, and Steve, legal papers. And if you hear his last words, I have a tape called The Last Words of David Koresh that we put out. And it's funny too, because he doesn't remember my name. He goes, Phil Arnold, and what's the other guy's name, Steve? He goes, Jim Tabor. Yeah, and Jim Tabor. So I like that. Phil, you remember Phil had been on a lot more. It's funny when you hear it in a way. And then that's when he talks about,
Very real.
I'll be so glad to get out. I'm going to order the biggest pizza, and talks about taking a shower and all this stuff. It was so lighthearted. It was like, it's solved. It's solved. So you can imagine what I felt like, and Phil and all of you, on the morning of the 19th, because we thought that would be the day when all this was announced. And now several of the agents have said, well, he wasn't even writing that. And they said, you can read it and tell it wasn't written then. Well, actually, we did a commentary on it. You can read it and tell it was written then. Couldn't have been written before, because he refers to many things that are happening right then. So anyway, that's enough for me.
And to go along with what you're saying, so today it's on the Facebook, the survivors group, Facebook group. Somebody, I think it's Lainey, posted a video of some events, just video clips made into a single video that she posted. And some of them are clips from the television. And one of them I noticed was a video clip of Janet Reno, Attorney General Janet Reno's congressional testimony. And she said that FBI agents led her to believe that the negotiations were at an impasse. And that word impasse caught my attention, because when FBI negotiator Byron Sage, when he testified, and also when he made his testimony, he testified that actually, I think it was also April 14th, the day that David sent out his letter. On April 14th, Byron Sage had a conference call with the Associate Attorney General, not with Janet Reno directly, but with the Associate Attorney General. And what Byron Sage told the Associate General to tell to Janet Reno was that the negotiations were at an impasse. And that's the very day, or maybe the day after, that David Koresh sent out his letter with his plan to write the little book and then come out. Everybody would come out. So that word impasse is important. And the fact that Janet Reno used the word impasse about the negotiations in her testimony before the congressional committees, that indicates that the Associate Attorney General, that's the term that he passed on to Janet Reno. And she was led to believe that the negotiations were at an impasse. And she was not. And then, and I've read, you can find these testimonies in a volume, a government published volume. They are published online. It's a congressional document, congressional hearings, and then the exact testimonies. So I've read the testimony of Byron Sage. He says he told the Associate Attorney General it was an impasse. I read the Associate Attorney General's testimony, and he said words to that effect. And so then the next question is, what did you tell Reno? And he kept it kind of vague, but you got the impression that if the Associate Attorney General knew anything about the letter that David Koresh had sent out, that was not passed on to Janet Reno. I also read the testimony of Jeffrey Jamar. He was the FBI special agent in charge. He was the on-site commander. And he said in his testimony that he saw no reason to tell Janet Reno about David Koresh's letter and his plan, because as far as he was concerned, that was just another stalling tactic. So, we're 32 years after the event, but there's a lot more to learn. But we continue to remember the people, and we also remember and feel for the survivors who lost their loved ones. And because this was a major tragedy.
Hey, Kathy, can I jump in here? Let's remember that by the time the Waco hearings actually occurred, it was the summer of 1995. It was after the Oklahoma City bombing that the Congress decided to look into Waco, because that was Tim McVeigh's motive, allegedly. And so by that time, Janet Reno was fully aware that she'd been misled. And she had an opportunity when she testified before Congress to tell the truth and let the American people know what had happened. She had been misled, and she didn't. She circled the wagons and really adopted the party line. So I don't have any respect for her, and I know she was misled, and that's clearly on the record, but she had an opportunity to set it right, and she didn't do it.
Well, I agree with you, Stuart. And of course, so she was not, she let the FBI cover it up, for one thing. And there were no punishments. All those guys got to retire with their
what she would tell me privately in a room is not the same as what she would say in a congressional hearing, obviously.
Correct.
So,
correct. But the other person she was protecting was President Bill Clinton.
Yes.
Because with her saying that the buck stops here, the blame was not passed on to him. And you all were there at those congressional hearings, and you saw how hard the Democrats were striving to protect President Clinton by calling David Koresh a cult leader and all that. But the movie that Stuart consulted with about Timothy McVeigh, it's called An American Bombing. You have Bill Clinton interviewed in that documentary, and I think Bill Clinton forgot that he's not supposed to admit that the FBI asked him, for permission to carry out that tank and gas assault, because he said that he gave them permission. He said that in that documentary titled American Bombing, and it just came out a couple of years ago, Bill Clinton says, well, he told them he knew there was a better way through negotiation because of the incident with the Covenant Sword and Arm of the Lord community, that occurred in Arkansas when he was governor in, I think, 1985, something like that. But he told the FBI agents that if you want to do this tank and gas plan, I'll back you up. So that's it's an important movie about the Oklahoma City bombing, but I see that as an important statement made by former President Bill Clinton in that movie, because he finally admits that the FBI, certain FBI officials came and consulted him on this. He could have told them, no, don't do
Who
it.
was the Associate Attorney General? Was that Wes Hubble?
Yeah.
Webster Hubble, yes.
Yeah, Wes Hubble. Yeah.
Yeah. I always had a sense about him that he was sort of using and manipulating and being manipulated. I want to say that in 1995 at that congressional hearing, I spoke directly personally to Jamar. I remember that. It was during a break. We were in the hallway and I ran into him, kind of a big guy. And I went up to him and spoke directly to him. And I introduced myself. And the first thing he said was, he said something to this effect. Had I known that he was writing those seals, I would have had a different plan. I would have done this differently. And I look at him and he said it confidently. And I looked at him and I said, just as confidently, I said, well, the transcripts and the negotiation tapes there on Sunday, Steve says that he saw several pages that David had already written. So he was writing it. It was clear from the negotiation tapes, the negotiators. And Jamar wilted. He looked aghast. And I could not tell, was it, how did you know? Or was it, oh, I really messed up. Yeah. He wandered off.
I talked to Brian Sage finally after seeing him in documentaries, that we were in for years on the phone. And he said, well, Dr. Tabor, I thought you and Arnold were book agents. He said, so we didn't take anything seriously. We thought you were representing them as agents. You wanted to get a book deal. And I said, why would you even imagine that? We're professors from universities and we work in religious studies, and I just didn't believe that, but that's what he was telling me, I just said, well, can't even imagine if you heard our tape. We didn't mention anything about, and when you finish your book, could we publish it and get rich? I mean, it was just so misleading.
I think that goes to actually what you're speaking to is the government's lack of understanding of who you guys were. And I think that speaks to the mistake that was made in that they did not understand who the Davidians were. They didn't understand who they were. They didn't understand who you guys were. And that's what led them to making the incorrect decisions on how to move forward. And I, as someone who, while I was there, I was a child. I didn't understand all this stuff. So for me, it's all been things that I've done later in life as an adult coming back into it. And that is what I believe, looking at it from, a subjective perspective of what I experienced in my memories and everything, as well as all of the things all the knowledge I've gained. Like sometimes you guys know more about things than I do, for sure. I just wasn't there for it. But it is absolutely all of the evidence of everything that tells me it's a lack of understanding who they were. And the mistake that they made was to not listen to Phil, trying to think of first names here, Phil and James, who actually went there to try to help a scenario, and they just didn't want that information.
And I might say one more thing to follow up with what you just said, Scott, is that it was not a matter of just our doing one or two things. Remember, I was up there probably the second or third day of February, of March. Went back up there a week later, went back up there, went back up there. So these 4 or 5 visits before we even got to Passover time when we did the radio program, but several visits up there. Each one of those visits, I tried to speak to FBI leadership, and I would approach them and catch them outside when they're being interviewed by media, and I would wait my turn. Went up to Bob Ricks the first time I drove up there, and I said to Bob, Mr. Ricks, I said, I studied these groups. Perhaps I could be of help in interpreting some of. He said, you can't help at all. There's nothing you can do. And he walked off. Mm-hmm. I ran and got in front of him. I said, Mr. Ricks, there may be something I can do because I study apocalyptic groups and I know something about this. He said, I told you there's nothing you can do. He said, it's all Bible babble. And he spun off again. But I'm a pretty fast runner. So I ran in front of him again, the third time. And I got in front of him, blocked his path. And I said, well, take my card, take my information. If there's any way I can help, I will. And he took it. So the FBI did have information that there were scholar types available. Then I got in the car and drove over to where the negotiators were at a different location, and they took some of my things. Then when the second visit I went up, if I recall correctly, I was not permitted to go into the convention center because I didn't have the right press credentials, something like that prevented it. And the local police did not want me to go in. But somehow or the other, I got in. And I'm in there, and I go up to one of the agents, wait my turn in line, and again, I make my presentation. And I remember saying, and probably some of you have heard this already, I'll just repeat the story. I said, sir, I noticed at the front where the TV cameras are focused on a big board you have the name Vernon Howell, AKA David Koresh, wounded in the side and in the hand. He said, yes, that's for the press. I said, well, what you're doing is you're reconfirming or confirming David Koresh's understanding of himself being a Messiah type figure. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, you have him wounded in the palm and in the side. And he took out his notebook and he wrote down, Jesus Christ, wounded in the palm. That's when I knew we had a real problem. He didn't even know that. So that's a third or fourth time. There were 2 or 3 more times. Finally, I got thrown out of the convention center. So there were many times, telephone calls, many times that the FBI was familiar with us. And then through Dick DeGarrett and what Jim did and the radio. So they really had no excuse. They knew there were people out here they could have consulted, and they failed to do it.
Hey, Phil, let's remember, though, we know from the FBI logs that they were also listening to people like Dr. Murray Myron from Syracuse, who was telling them just the opposite, that this was a cult leader. He was dangerous. They had to do something. They were listening to Rick Ross, a deprogrammer, who was telling them just the opposite. So they were getting conflicting information that must have contributed to the chaos. And they were probably just throwing their hands up and saying, we're going to do what we want to do.
Yes, and they were also, Myron's a psychologist, I believe, if I recall correctly. They also consulted a professor or two at Baylor, who listened to some of what David said in that original broadcast that he wanted done on the message of the 7 seals. And that Baptist professor said, this is really not biblical. This is not anything significant. Mm-hmm. So that means the FBI got information from a particular denominational slant, as opposed to getting it from a scholar of religious studies who could be more objective in the analysis. So they were getting information from psychologists, from people from a confessional stance who would disagree with the Seventh-day Adventists, the Jehovah's Witnesses, the Mormons, and the Branch Davidians. So the FBI got the impression, well, David's message is just something he's making up. Maybe he isn't even sincere. And then that terrible time when Sage admits in one of the interviews that he decided to give David the acid test. And he found David, I guess on the phone or maybe even in person. And he said to David, David, I'm very, very happy with my religious commitment to Jesus Christ, my relationship to Jesus Christ as a Baptist. I'm very happy with that. And David said something to the effect, well, it's important that you have that relationship, and that's something to be encouraged. And we do have knowledge of the seven seals. So David went along with that. And then Byron Sage says, that's when I knew that he was not really believing that he was some messianic figure, but that he was a con man, because if he was really a messianic figure, he would have done what? He would have tried to talk me out of my relationship to Jesus Christ and get me to have a relationship with him. Do you see how crazy that is? I mean, he decided that he was a con man because he did not try to talk him out of his faith. So he was using his own religious understanding of Christianity about the situation at Waco. Madness. And so some of the FBI people who were religious, it was not very helpful because they're bringing their presuppositions into the discussion and evaluating this as whether or not it's from God, is it biblical, is it demonic? They have all this mythological presuppositions they're bringing to the discussion. Well, that doesn't work. I mean, that was doomed to failure, and that's really what happened. They made these wrong decisions based upon their presuppositions.
Yeah, Nancy Ammerman has a chapter in my book, Armageddon in Waco, where she actually got to interview the FBI negotiators and some of the people involved. And she talks about their own conservative religious beliefs obstructing their ability to understand the situation.
Yeah.
Another thing that was at play, if you take the March 2nd radio address, it's printed in the Waco paper, the transcript. Let me ask you, Bible students, how much do you know about the liar of the tribe of Judah? Anybody know? No, of the tribe of Judas, the liar of the tribe of Judas. Anybody want to expound on that biblical teaching? It's the lion of the tribe of Judah, is what he said. The lion of the tribe of Judah. It's a messianic reference in the Bible, right? So the transcript, this is just newspaper people listening who have no clue, but that was used then to say Bible babble. You know, we read it. What are you talking about? The liar of the trial of Judas? We looked that up in the Bible. There's no trial of Judas. He hung himself. So this guy he doesn't know anything. Phil and I did speak in our congressional testimony, and you have to go through hours to get it. So I took it and put it all together, and it's on my YouTube channel. And I don't know if Kathy put it on hers. If she wants, she certainly can.
I will.
And it's just Phil's testimony and my testimony all together. It's about an hour. But we did get a chance because Republicans were running it, wanting to blame Clinton and Reno. So finally they said, no time limit, Tabor, Arnold, just speak. And we both got to do a little pitch. So that's in the record. Not that anybody particularly heard it, but it's a pretty good summary of some things we talked about today.
Yes, I remember on the 28th, it's on television what's happening when watching that, and there's some mention that there was an article in the Waco paper of David's, of the situation, and about the Messiah, the false Messiah, but also something that David had said. So I thought, I want to read that Fort Worth. It was Fort Worth paper. I want the Tribune, I believe. I want to read that. So it must have been on Monday, or maybe it was Tuesday. I looked around, I made calls. Rice University didn't have it. The University of Houston would have that Sunday edition. So I drove to the University of Houston. I went into the library. The paper was there. Can you imagine my excitement? Now I'm going to actually get one of David's sermons. So I open that up and I come to the place where David is being quoted. Exactly what Dr. Tabor just said. There's a whole page, maybe half a page, and I'm reading it. And I noticed that it's hard to read because it has things like the liar of the trial of Judas. It has many other things there. And I'm thinking, wait. I'm recognizing that this man, David, knows something about Bible prophecy. He's talking about Daniel 12, 1335 days, time and half a time, 1290, 1260, the book of Revelation. He's going through all these things. And yet, every now and then, it's got these strange, just crazy stuff. So it dawned on me, I see what's happening. The transcriber doesn't know how to transcribe these words correctly. And so the impression is going to be to the FBI that this is incoherent. And even if they gave it to a Baptist professor, that doesn't mean that Baptist professor has read Seventh-day Adventist interpretation from the 19th century. Hasn't read Ellen G. White, Uriah Smith, hasn't read any of these people. So even that person is going to misinterpret it. So that's when I knew that someone needed to go there and clarify this so that so somehow the FBI could resolve this peacefully without pushing the wrong button. As it worked out, the FBI put itself in the position of becoming the beast power that would fulfill the prophecies of Daniel and the book of Revelation. That's what happened.
The negotiation transcripts and the negotiation tapes have been mentioned a few times. So I just want to say that Phil Arnold has a collection of approximately 200 negotiation audio tapes. We've had those digitized, and I'll return to the process of uploading them to a YouTube channel I created. Will Morgan's been working with me on them, so he's going to be uploading them to a YouTube channel. And actually, the FBI transcripts that you all are talking about were put on a FBI online archival website, but they were just terrible photocopies. So Will Morgan has been cleaning up those transcripts, and I'll be working with another person to put them on an online encyclopedia website. So we're going to do that. But I just want to make a plea that if any of you there are approximately 50 negotiation audio tapes missing out of Phil's collection. So we don't have those. And if anybody out there has audio tapes, negotiation audio tapes, please, okay, I see that. Okay, so anyway, please contact us and or contact me, and I can send you a list of the tapes that we don't have, so that we can put them, add those to the collection that we're putting online. I see that Kevin's got to go to work, so
I've got to go too.
I just got one thing to say real quick before everyone goes off here, so I have something going on too. But I just we didn't really, and it's largely my fault. Usually we mention a lot of the people that are supporters that have died over the years. I did want to mention that Jackie Bowen died this last year, and I wanted to just kind of recognize her. And she was a great friend. She knew David back. I guess she owned a restaurant. He used to go in to her restaurant quite a bit, and he saw her play around town. She saw him play at Chelsea's, and my friend Eli and I were talking about her the other day. So I just wanted to mention her, that she had died, and everyone just to remember her this year as well.
Thank you. And can I conclude here by reading Starla's poem, because it's not long, and it really expresses, I think, the feelings of a lot of us who are here, who support the survivors and former members. So this is the poem by Starla Whitener, and it says, in the city of Waco, Texas in 1993, it would have been so easy just to let things be. But within a blink of an eye, many people did die, and for what reason did they deserve such fate? For their faith in God, who told them to just wait. Why were these people living at Mount Carmel, you ask? A man who taught the Bible and lived it, not wearing a mask. Day after day, this man taught the scriptures like no other. He had a gift of teaching that was given to him by the Heavenly Father. It's been 33 years since this tragedy took place. Does anyone remember even just one single face? Do their names ever keep you up late at night? Where would they all be if everything had turned out all right? Because of this tragedy, however as bad as it was, I, meaning Starla, got involved since the start, and I believed in its cause. Without ever hearing the name Koresh, don't you see, I wouldn't have met such wonderful people if I had just let it be. So thank you, Starla.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a great poem.
That was amazing, Starla.
Thank you, Kevin.
I didn't do anything. I just sat here.
I want to say thank you to Phil and James.
You did everything this year, dude.
I
Me
want
and
to.
Kathryn.
Okay, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
I want to say thank you to Phil and James and Kathryn and Stuart. Without the years and years of education that you guys have behind you, that you bring to the story that went out to the masses, no one would have known about our side, our view, other than the Bob Ricks and the Byron Sage Bible Babble story would be the only story out there. So from our bottom of our heart, we thank you for helping the real story come out. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for telling your stories. So is it so long for now?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so long for now, and look forward to seeing you again.
Say
Y'all
good
take
night,
care.
Gracie.
See you guys soon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Love you, everybody.
Love you.
Be
I
well.
love you.
Thanks, everyone.
Time, oh time, please won't you tell all the stories of love so well.